everybody! In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create this beautiful puff V-stitch. Now I'm calling it the wheat field stitch purely because, I mean, it is simply a puff V-stitch, but when I did it in this colourway for my little sample piece, it just really reminded me of a beautiful summery wheat field, and I thought that would just be a really sweet name for the tutorial. So this was done using a Shapeys Colour Crafter, for anybody that is wondering, and you can use this stitch to make anything from just a scarf, and you can also obviously use it for much bigger projects like blankets as well. But just remember, it is a little bit of a yarn eater, so just bear that in mind when you're thinking about what yarn you want to use for it. So for the demonstration purpose, I'm going to be using this amazing Boho Spirit yarn, and this is the shade called Harmony. So I'm going to be making it with this because I just think the sheen and the colour changes are going to look really, really wonderful in this pattern. So I will leave a link below to where you can purchase your Boho Spirit. So it is an extremely easy pattern, and it is a simple one row repeat once you've done your startup row. So it's nice and mindless and easy to complete. And if you're only doing a scarf or something, you know, it will work up pretty quickly. So I'm just using the recommended 4mm hook for my Boho Spirit. So to start this project, you want to create your foundation row, and you want to do that in a multiple of 4. So say if you were just doing a scarf or something, so for example for this one I think it was a chain of 28, and this is just a nice width for a scarf, and obviously you get all that squishy puffy texture, so it would make a beautiful scarf, and I did a chain of 28 for that. But anyway, so to chain obviously is just yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. So multiples of 4, and I will meet you in just a second. So because I'm actually using this yarn to make a scarf, I have done the same chain of 28 again, but whatever number of chains you have done with your multiple of 4, you need to add on an additional 2 chains at the end. Now for this particular stitch, because we're working great big puff stitches, I didn't want to work those straight into the foundation chain because that can create some really quite big and noticeable gaps. So I'm starting this off with a row of UK double crochet. So remember, in the US, this is your single crochet. So we're going to start in the 3rd chain from the hook. So you don't count this loop here on the hook. You start here and we go 1, 2, 3. And into that 3rd chain, you're going to do a UK double. So you're going to insert your hook, grab the yarn and pull it up, and you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And then again into the next chain, you're going to do another double. So yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both. And you're simply going to do that all the way along. And this just gives us a slightly more sturdy base to work all of our puff stitches into in the next row. So if you want to continue that now, and I will meet you when you get back to the other end, and we will work up to start our repeat. Okay, so I've completed my initial row, and it will be all curly like the little pig's tail, as I always say. But that is absolutely normal. Please don't panic, it will straighten out once you've done your next row. So now we're going to turn our work. We're not going to chain or anything. We're going to turn, and then we are going to create our UK treble into this very first stitch where our working end is coming up from. So you want to just slide that working end slightly out of the way and insert your hook into that very first stitch, and you will see you've got the V on the top. You're going to yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then you can see that this stitch here now has got 2 vertical parts to it. You're going to insert your hook behind that one, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and that just gives us a really nice sturdy treble height stitch rather than chaining 3, because they can sometimes look a bit loopy and leave the big loopy gaps. So that is just the way that I like to start a new row. We are now going to skip 3 stitches, so we're going to skip 1, 2 and 3, and into this 4th stitch we're going to work our first puff V-stitch. So that is going to consist of a puff stitch, a chain 1 and a puff stitch. So to do a puff stitch you're going to yarn over, insert into that 4th stitch, keep this nice and loose now, yarn over and pull up, and you're going to pull up nice and tall. And again, yarn over, back into that stitch, yarn over and pull up, and again pull up nice and tall. So that's twice. A 3rd time, yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, that's 3. And one final time, yarn over, insert, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have all of these loops on your hook. You then want to yarn over and you're going to pull through all of those loops. So yarn over and pull through all of those loops and chain 1. Now that chain 1 counts as the puff stitch, so that is not the chain 1 that's going to separate the puff stitches. That chain 1 finishes that puff stitch. So now you want to do your chain 1 to separate them, and then back into that same stitch that you've just done that puff stitch in, you're going to do another puff stitch. So yarn over, back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up again nice and tall, and you're going to do it 3 more times. So yarn over, insert and pull up, that's 2. 3 and 4 times, and then again yarn over, pull through all the loops and chain 1 to finish the puff stitch. So that is your very first puff stitch set complete. So you're not going to chain anything in between your puff V stitches, you're simply going to miss 3 stitches again, so skip 1, 2 and 3, and then you're going to repeat that puff V stitch into the 4. So I'll show you this one more time. So yarn over, insert into that stitch, yarn over and pull up tall, that's 1, 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over and pull up, that's 3, and 4. You're then going to yarn over and pull through all those loops, chain 1 to finish your puff stitch, chain 1, and then back into that same stitch you're going to do the other half of your V puff stitch. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then again yarn over, pull through all of those loops, chain 1 to close. So you're going to repeat that all the way across now. So you're going to skip 3 stitches and do your puff V stitch, skip 3 stitches and do your puff V stitch. So if you continue that all the way along, so pause or rewind if you need to watch again for the puff stitches, and I will meet you just as you get towards the other end of your work and we will go from there. So I've worked all the way along my row now, and this is how I am looking, and I've completed my final puff V stitch just here, and now I'm ready to finish off the row. So you want to skip 3 stitches as normal, so we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, so they are the final UK doubles from the previous row, and you can remember we skipped a few chains at the beginning, and that is what we're going to be working into. We're going to work into the funny little turning chain that we created at the beginning. So you're going to do a UK treble into that stitch. So you want to yarn over, skip 3 stitches and complete your treble. So you're going to yarn over and pull up, and then you'll have 3 loops on your hook. you will yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. And that is your very first set of stitches complete. And now I'm going to show you the next row, because that then is your pattern repeat that you can do over and over again as many times as you like. So again, we're going to turn without chaining anything, and into that very first stitch where our working end is, we are going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then we've got the vertical part of your stitch, and you're going to just insert your hook behind that one, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both. So that just gives us that nice treble height stitch. So now all of our puff V stitches are going to be worked into the space in between the puff stitches from the previous row. So if you pull apart your puff stitches, you can see that nice obvious space there to work into. So it is literally the same process as before. You're going to create your puff V stitch into the space in between your V stitches from the previous row. You're going to yarn over and pull through them all, finish your stitch, do your chain 1, and then back into that space in between your stitch from the previous row, you will do the other half of your V stitch. And chain 1 to complete your V, your puff stitch, and then you will skip across straight into the next space in between your puff stitch from the previous row. So it's a really simple, repetitive pattern that you can work up quite mindlessly while you're doing something else. But I'm going to work up a few more rows of this pattern now. I will meet you at the end of this row in just a second, and you'll be able to work out that final stitch placement with me, and then you'll be good then to continue the rest of the pattern. I really do think that variegated yarns look amazing in this pattern. It gives you that extra little bit of texture almost, because obviously your colours are changing all on their own, but you can obviously also do striped versions of this and just attach new yarn at the end of your row, and I will show you how you can do that when we get to the end of this row. I will just show you very briefly how you would change your colour. So I'm just coming obviously to the end of this row now, just completing my final puff stitch for this row. Do my chain 1 to finish the stitch, and then we have got the funny little treble stitch from the start of that last row. So you will see it will look like 2 separate chains just here, and you're going to treble into the top of that stitch. Make sure you get the whole of the stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. Now if you were doing a striped scarf and you wanted to change colour, then you will change colour at this point here. So before you would finish this treble, you would grab your new colour yarn and pull that yarn through those final 2 stitches. But otherwise, that is the pattern repeat that you're going to work up again and again. You can see it's a beautiful reversible pattern which would look great in any yarn, but I do really like it in this yarn because you get that beautiful sheen with it. So do make sure that you check out all of the links in the description as well for the yarn, but I will meet you back one final time very briefly in a minute to show you how it's looked the further on I've got. I've worked up quite a few more rows now, and you can see the lovely reversible textured stitch that you end up with. So I'm expecting to use at least 2, maybe possibly even 3 of these to make a really long, beautifully soft wraparound scarf. Now you could probably get away with only using 2 if you were doing a shorter infinity scarf and attaching the ends together, but I'm really want to make this just one long scarf and then probably add a little bit of fringe or tassels or something on the end. But I really do hope that you've enjoyed this crazily called wheat field stitch, and I hope to see you again for another tutorial very, very soon. But bye for now.